The morning star like any other, except something was different about Julia. She sat at the kitchen island in her silk robe, glued to her phone, completely absorbed in whatever lit up her screen. I poured my own coffee, listening to nonstop notification pings and the soft little laughs she gave that clearly weren't meant for me anymore. The smile that used to belong to our life now lived inside that tiny glowing screen she couldn't put down. "Can you pass me the toast?" I asked casually. Without looking away, she said, "I'm not your maid, Mark." It wasn't just what she said. It was the cold, cutting tone underneath it, heavy enough to change the whole room. I stared at her for a second. This woman I used to think I couldn't breathe without, now sitting right in front of me feeling like a complete stranger. I didn't argue. I didn't raise my voice. I just smiled. A slow, intentional smile. The kind that finally made her look up. "Perfect," I said, setting my coffee down. "You're fired. I'll hire someone else to handle the position." For a moment she laughed, like she thought it was a joke. Then she saw my face, and her laugh died instantly. "What are you talking about?" she asked, suddenly cautious. "Exactly what it sounds like," I replied smoothly. "You've treated this marriage like a job you hate showing up to, so I'm letting you go." She scoffed, shaking her head. "You're being dramatic. You can't fire me." I looked around the house. Our house. But every corner of it had my fingerprints all over it. "Actually," I said, "I can." Her voice tried to stay steady, but the slight shake gave her away. "You're overreacting." I was joking. I walked past her toward the hallway. "So was this marriage also a joke?" I asked quietly. That made her freeze. The scrape of her chair dragging against the floor cut through the silence. "Where's this coming from?" she demanded. "From months of you making me feel invisible," I said. "From you being more attached to your phone than to this marriage. From flirting with other men and acting like I should just accept scraps." Her mouth opened, but nothing came out. "You really think I haven't noticed?" I kept going. "The extra perfume before your girls' nights, the late returns, the phone flipped face down the second I walk in a room." She didn't move. That silence told me everything. "It's not what you're thinking," she muttered, folding her arms. "Then explain," I said, "because from where I stand, it feels like you stopped being my wife a long time ago." "You're paranoid," she said, forcing a sigh. "You always assume the worst." I gave a small, exhausted smile. "Maybe, but this time I'm not wrong." Her confidence cracked. For the first time, her voice finally trembled. "You're not actually serious." "I am," I said, walking to the bedroom. I returned holding an envelope, placing it on the counter in front of her. "Divorce papers," I said quietly, "already signed. All that's left is your signature." Her eyes blinked rapidly, disbelief flooding her face. "You planned this." "No," I said. "You did, the day you stopped caring." The room went dead silent, except for her phone buzzing again. Another message. Another secret conversation. She glanced at the screen and flipped it over, but I'd already caught the name. "Who's Ryan?" I asked. Her lips shook. "He's just someone from work," she whispered. "The guy you claim you weren't flirting with?" Tears filled her eyes. "It wasn't serious, Mark. I was just bored." That one word, bored, cut deeper than anything else. "You were bored," I repeated slowly. "And instead of fixing what we had, you went searching for a thrill somewhere else. Well, now you'll have endless time to entertain yourself." I headed toward the door. She rushed to block me. "Please don't do this," she begged. "We can fix this." I looked directly at her. "You ended this the moment you stopped being faithful." For once, she didn't have a comeback. The woman who always had something clever to say went silent. "I never thought you'd actually leave," she whispered. "That's the problem," I said quietly. "You thought no matter what you did, I'd always stay, always forgive, always pretend everything was fine." Tears poured down her face, first soft, then nonstop. But I felt absolutely nothing. Whatever compassion I had for her was gone. "Please, Mark," she sobbed. "It was just harmless attention. You mean everything to me." I shook my head. If I meant everything, you wouldn't have gambled losing me over nothing. I grabbed my jacket and opened the front door. She followed me, voice shaking with panic. You're just mad. You'll calm down and come back. I turned around, looked at her, and said, I'm calm. That's exactly why I'm walking away. Her knees weakened, and she leaned against the frame as I stepped outside. You'll regret this, she screamed after me, voice cracking mid-sentence. I gave a faint smile. Maybe, but if I ever do, that regret will belong to me, not you. I walked away, her crying fading behind me like an old song I'd outgrown. The next morning, I woke up at my brother's place. My phone was filled with missed calls, messages, long voice notes, all basically saying the same thing. I made a mistake. She said she couldn't sleep. She said Ryan meant nothing. She said she threw her phone away. But it didn't matter. I didn't block her. I just didn't reply. Sometimes silence is louder than yelling. A week later, I heard from a mutual friend. The guy she risked everything for had already dumped her. Life really knows how to deliver karma. Months passed. Peace slowly returned. I focused on work, rebuilt myself, rediscovered who I was without all that chaos. One evening in a cafe, I met someone new. Someone soft-hearted, honest, no games, no manipulation. For the first time in forever, I actually felt seen again. That night, I got one last message from Julia. Do you still think I'm fired? I answered, no, you're permanently replaced. Then I deleted her number for good. Funny thing is, she once said she wasn't my maid. And she was right. She wasn't keeping the house, the loyalty, or the heart alive. I just wish she understood that before she lost the only role that ever truly mattered, being my wife.